Hey, are you a Storm player thinking, hey, there's another popular arena fighter out? I'm thinking I might want to get into that too. Well, this video is for you. Now, I wanted to give it like at least a week for me to have my hype die down because I knew I might be a little bit biased and blinded by the nostalgia when this game first came out. Also, I wanted to get a little bit of a feel of where the online meta was going and see what was going to be popular online. What is everyone going to be running to try and get the wins? Because I went straight to online as soon as this game came out. Side note, does anybody think that modern day competitive gaming has kind of completely changed the way we play games now? Like when I was in elementary school playing these Tenkaichi games, I sat and played the story mode for like hours. And I was like, I just went straight to online this time around. Has competitive gaming ruined the way I see gaming? Well, maybe a little bit. It kind of reminds me of how now, whenever Professor Oak gives me my Charmander, the first thing I do is check his nature to see if it's good or not. And if it's bad, I'm like, man, this joint trash. But when I was in elementary school, I would have happily taken that sassy nature Charmander to the entire game. All the way up into the Elite Four. It didn't matter. But anyways, back to Sparking Zero. I think Sparking Zero is the kind of game where it's going to be fun, but it's especially fun at lower levels of play. I can kind of see where the game is going meta-wise after watching a lot of people play and for playing online for a little while. Because the Storm game that this reminds me the most of would be like Storm 2. In particular, Storm 2's defensive style. You remember when you had to time the substitution? That kind of reminds me of this super counter mechanic, the square forward mechanic in Sparking Zero. This is an extremely precise timed combo escape mechanic that works even when you're getting hit from the back. It seems to be balanced around the fact that it doesn't take any kind of like key or blast dots or anything like that, but completely balanced around the fact that it's hard to time, which makes me think that this game at higher levels is probably going to get extremely defensive, but it's probably going to be the most fun at lower levels of play, in my opinion, because the combo potential of this game seems to be there. There are high-low mix-ups, there are ways to cross up your opponent, and all of that seems really fun, and all of that can get fully explored at lower levels of play. So I would say that if you want the most fun out of this game, you would probably want to play it right now in the beginning. This is probably the most fun this game is ever going to be. At least if you're like me and you like a balance of offensive and defensive kind of styles of play with a slight bias towards offensive play. Because like in Storm 2, longer combos give your opponent more times and more opportunities to actually escape those combos, which will make it really optimal to do things like short bursty bits of damage. That's why you saw a whole lot of jutsus in Storm 2, because if I just kept on hitting you forever, you have more times to substitute. And in this game, you have more times to super counter. The split between singles ranked and DP battle ranked, I find kind of interesting. I hope the community wants to explore both. I can see benefits to both ranked styles. DP battle can make you more incentivized to pick lower tiered characters, which a lot of people like to see. Singles battles seems to be over very shortly. The game is very defensive, or at least has the potential to be at very high levels of play. And that could be a way to kind of balance it out. Although every player's preferences can be different from player to player. For example, you might like fighting games that are a little bit more defensive. In fact, this game might not even be defensive enough for you. I've heard some players say, well, I like the combo escaping. I like being reset back to neutral. I like playing the neutral. To me, that's the fun part, right? So everyone's going to be kind of different. Right now, I'm kind of leaning towards singles battles, but that could potentially change if I play the game for longer. These are my week one thoughts on the game so far. Right now, I'm seeing a lot of people say this is broken and that is broken. Although I really don't like saying this is overpowered or this is broken during the first week of the game, because maybe players just haven't got adjusted to it yet. Usually what I do in these kinds of games is that if I find something that I can't find a way around, what I do is I use that broken move or that broken tactic online over and over again until someone counters me, and then I set the PlayStation to record what just happened, and then I watch over the fight. I do that in Storm, I do that in Sparking Zero, I do that in everything. But these are my week one thoughts. To summarize, I think the game is fun, and it's probably going to be especially fun at lower levels of play.